Hustle hard like animals, knocking down another dose, chasing all the dollars, so my mama gon' be settled. Damien Dollar want more, Damien Diamond solving more. Vision clear, we rack 'em up, make 'em real intangibles.
Welcome to the Intangibles Podcast, presented by VZN, the home for basketball content.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back to the Intangibles Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Laij.
And today we have a very, very special guest with us. He is a former PBA player, a multiple-time champion, a multiple-time mythical team member, been part of a lot of legendary teams, and a very, very special individual when it comes to the basketball court. We have the man mountain himself, Mr. Ali Peak. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hi, thank
Welcome,
you.
sir.
All right, thank you.
And today we're gonna talk to him about just random stuff, So before that, Ali, can we how are you doing so far? What's up with you in your life right now?
Well, I'm just out here in Vegas, man. Just kind of a new life. My family and I, we migrated last July, and took about, I'd say, almost a year. So out here now, I mean, we're just kind of going through the whole adjustment phase of life in America, which is very different. I think we can all agree, very different from how things are, in the Philippines. But it was, sort of like a challenge for me to sort of redefine myself. And of course, my daughter, our eldest, I have a 17-year-old. She wanted to start preparing so she could go to college. She wanted to experience college life out here. So, the cool thing now, like most recently, or more, not actually recently, but ever since September, I started off my own business, and that turned into another business, which turned into another business. So really, I'm operating 3 different small businesses right now. And my wife, I don't know if you guys know her. Her name is Royces Nugget, and she used to be a TV5 news reporter and anchor. So she's in her whole world was politics, right? So she transitioned out here doing media relations, public media relations, behind the scenes. Interestingly enough, for the local politicians. So, I mean, we've transitioned pretty well, but we still have a lot of adjustments that we have to make. So, we're still navigating our way through life in another country. So, but it's been fun.
Well, we wish you good luck on that. Of course, I know you guys can handle that pretty soon, and hopefully we get to hear more about you here as well. Of course, you've been legendary here. But before we move on to the basketball stuff, in your life and here in the Philippines, can I ask you something? Have you watched the playoffs recently?
You know what? I've been just watching, I guess you could say, snippets of what's been going on, with the season, the playoffs. I know that Talking Tex, my former team, won the Governor's Cup. I think that's their first ever Governor's Cup, if I'm not mistaken, in the franchise history. Hats off to them. And what a huge undertaking, because it's Joe Lass's first time at the helm, right, as being the head coach of Talking Tex. I'll be honest with you. I was a little skeptical. Not doubting Coach JoJo's abilities, because if you think about it, he's been in the coaching world practically since he was playing basketball. I mean, we were teammates twice in his career, and one at Pop Cola and one at Alaska, which was his last year, and he was coaching then. So he's been around great coaches. He's been an assistant for a few teams, so he's learned a lot. So I'm surprised, but then again, I'm not surprised. The reason why I say that is because I know how hard it is just to be a head coach, period, right?
Yep.
And for him to be able to take over like that, whatever he did, he got the response of the players, and
For sure.
they performed well, and they were able to capitalize on it. So congrats to Talking Tex.
Sure. An additional championship to what has been a legendary team since the beginning. But aside from the PBA basketball, have you watched NBA playoffs?
Yeah, I have been. I'm a diehard Lakers fan. I don't know if you guys
Oof.
know that. I've been like
Congrats.
I don't have time to watch the entire game.
Uh-huh.
I'll just again tidbits, and the whole Dylan Brooks thing was just, oh my God, like I
Crazy.
love what
Don't worry.
like Kendrick Perkins said, you didn't poke the bear, you poured honey on yourself. And I just,
Yeah.
I'm like, that is just, Kendrick Perkins has some of the best lines, right? Like, I wish I could have
Yep.
come up with that. Like, I mean, I think a couple of days ago, he said something about, he said, Golden State worries me the way, this is not verbatim, I'm about to mess this up, but it was just so brilliant the way he said it. The way someone with multiple warrants is trying to drive across state lines. It's just, he had Stephen A. Smith rolling,
Uh-huh.
and it's hard to get Stephen A. to roll to laugh like that. But I just remember in the car just laughing, and I've been following that, and then I'm looking at Sacramento because,
Yeah.
again, first time head coach for Sacramento, Mike Brown. Whatever
Mhm.
he did, he got the response of that team, and I think the key factor was De'Aaron Fox. I've heard a lot of stories about De'Aaron Fox, and I'm not going to reveal my sources, but I heard a lot of stories about him. But whatever Mike Brown said or did, De'Aaron Fox is on board, and you see how much of a difference it's made. I mean, that team's scary. I think they're going to be playing the
Yep.
Lakers.
That's true.
Wait,
That's
who won? I don't know who won. Who won
There's
game
still a
seven?
game 7.
There's still a game 7. Okay, so
I
we don't.
think
Yep.
that's tomorrow, I think.
Okay, but I just love the way they play the ball. I love their offense. I love the way they. I just love that the offense that they're running, the motion offense. It's not a basic motion, but it's such a dynamic. It reminds me a lot of a young Golden State Warriors team.
They're very energetic too. Like
Yeah.
they're really into the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, aside from that, so in our podcast, we usually have our guests say just top 5 random anything. Now, since we're talking about it, who's your top 5 championship contenders in the NBA right now? Like the teams.
That's a tough one. Well, okay, so I would say Phoenix. Denver remains to be seen. They're knocking on the door. They could surprise us all. So,
They beat Phoenix a while ago.
oh wait, they beat? What's the series there? Sorry,
Oh, one,
Oh, that's
1-0.
the second round already. So that's the
second
first
round.
game
round.
earlier.
Yep.
Well,
So it's plenty of time.
plenty of
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah, plenty of time. I mean, those two teams right there in the West. Golden State is always. I just don't think people should count Golden State out. I mean, they have the experience. You just never know. I mean, look at the.
Are the Lakers there? What do you
I would
think?
have to say so. I mean, because you know what? I'll tell you what. I couldn't stand Rob Pelinka. I mean, I was so upset. Like, you got to understand, like, how much of a disgruntled Laker fan I was midway. This is ridiculous, right? But somehow, some way, he was able to deal Russell Westbrook away and bring the guys in that were so desperately needed to complement AD and LeBron James. That team, if they had an off season, if they had a training camp together, and then they start, that's scary.
I was actually a big I was
You know what I
actually
mean?
a big Rob
Okay.
Pelinka hater as well. We actually talked about this in one of our episodes. Like we said, man, Rob Pelinka, what the heck is this guy doing? But after that last deadline, I
right?
I have to give him his flowers. He did a great job.
He did a great job. He did a great job. Now I don't know how that was motivated. I don't know if Jeannie Buss called him into the office and said, "Hey, you don't done. You are out of here." You know what I mean? I mean, who knows what kind of conversations um, went on behind closed doors? But what I like about that team is their length, their athletic ability, their youth,
Mm-hmm.
their commitment to defense. Those guys that they brought in, um, and then they just seem to complement LeBron James and Anthony Davis very, very well. And you got an Austin Reeves that's just to his own. And as far as I'm concerned, Austin Reeves might very well be an all-star next year. You just never know,
Ooh.
right?
Yep.
I
He's
mean, they
really
just
good.
have, yeah, I can never pronounce his name, Rui.
Rui
I think
Hachimura.
Watch
Hachimura is just a great addition. How tall is he? About 6'9", 6'10", so long.
6'8", something like that.
Most important thing was that they have guys that were committed on the defensive end,
Mm-hmm.
and then they could shoot. They could shoot the 3-point shot. You look at D'Lo,
Finally, they
D'Angelo.
could.
Yeah, I mean, just for me, so much more different in comparison to when he was first in Los Angeles. You see the maturity in his game now, so it's going to be interesting to see how things go with the Lakers. But I there's someone to definitely take a look at. So how many is that now?
For sure.
4?
4.
I don't.
Yep.
Those, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. What do you think about Boston?
I feel like they have the biggest chance now because
Yeah,
Milwaukee
yeah,
got eliminated.
yeah. So
In the East, that is.
in
Yeah,
the
in the
East,
East.
yeah. I would like.
I
Is
mean,
Philadelphia still in it, right?
yep,
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see Philadelphia. I'd like to see
yep.
Philadelphia kind of get over that hump too. Because I'm a big fan of Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
I love the way he's to me, he's sort of a modern day Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean, I don't know if that's a
Mm-hmm.
stretch, but the different types of moves that he has down low, and then his versatility on the wing. What I love about the bigs nowadays is that their ability to initiate the offense.
Yep,
Especially if hearts are tied up, they can just bring the ball up and start the offense. You know what I mean?
yep,
And so you see
yeah,
that in him, that in Giannis, you see that in Jokic. So
yeah.
yeah. So I
They're
think that's
evolving.
picks. I'm not, I don't know. Yeah, those are my picks.
All right,
So
cool. I mean, we kind of agree with that too. It's like that; those are like the top 5 already that's left in the playoffs. But yeah. So that's the NBA. But let's go back to you for now.
sure.
Can you talk us through about your background in basketball? What inspired you to start and all of that?
Yeah, I think it started when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
It was 1987, 1988 basketball season, and that was really, I don't know what happened. It's just I was watching the Lakers, and I just kept watching them. And now, mind you, I'd been watching the Lakers with my mom. My mom used to take me to the Laker games, Fabulous Forum, right in Inglewood, and
Mm-hmm.
in the early '80s. And then I just started watching that season, and I just got hooked. As far as I was concerned, I wanted to be Magic Johnson. You know,
Yep.
so, so
Yep.
yeah. And then I don't know if you guys remember this. It looks like it's way before your time, but I remember the Lakers were struggling. They got off to a very good start that season. But then I think they dropped like 4 or 5 games,
Mm-hmm.
and they went to Boston Garden. And that game was just a back and forth game. And I remember the specifics. I remember James Worthy forgetting his jersey before he boarded. So they gave him like a 00 number, an extra
Uh-huh.
jersey. So he was playing in that. And then the Lakers were down by I think 1 point or 2 points. And there
Mm-hmm.
was like 1 second left. And Magic got the ball on the 3-point line. He was curling on the left side of the court, and he shot the shot And I mean, he just he shoots, he pushes. He doesn't shoot, he pushes. So he
Mhm.
pushed, and it was a 3-point shot that bounced off the backboard and went in. And I, from that point on, I was like, man, as far, I was I'd always been a fan, but
Yep.
even more so a fan than ever. But that really inspired me. So I just, from that point on, I was just committed to basketball every single day, you know, nonstop. So that's where the journey began. So
Mm.
Yeah,
So
okay. So since we're in that topic, let's now
yeah,
talk about your journey, to the PBA. So we're
sure.
drafted in 1998.
Yeah.
So can you talk about how did it felt, process of getting into the PBA, and how does it feel, being able to hear your name called?
Well, I wasn't there. I was here, in the States. So my grandparents, my Lolo was the one that went up on stage. He went up on stage, not me. And they put on the pop cola jacket. They put the pop cola jacket and hat on him. But
Mhm.
it was exciting. It was also nerve wracking because I wasn't quite sure, how I was going to do. A lot of people didn't know this. I could say this now, but I I didn't play my last year in college because I had a significant knee injury,
Mm.
and it was to my left knee, and this is before microfracture techniques were even a thing. So this is like in
Mhm.
the mid to late '90s, and I just remember the doctor telling me, my orthopedic surgeon telling me after surgery that I got a 50% chance of being able to get my left knee back the way I wanted to get back, from a
Oh,
medical standpoint. But then he said, but you know what? It doesn't matter what I think. It just matters what you think. So when he told me that, you know, I just kept working. But the thing was, I didn't know how my knee was going to hold up my first couple of
mhm.
years. For whatever reason, it just did. There were days where my left knee would just be in pain, but I just kept thinking to myself, like, this is your job. There's nothing for you back home. This is an opportunity. You better find a way to make it work. You better find a
And
way.
it did.
Whatever you feel you have to do, if it means lifting extra weights before or after practice to get that knee where you need it to be, that's what it means. So for me, and I've said this before in other interviews, it was a matter of desperation.
Mm.
Um, the fear of not being able to be successful, in basketball, and being able to get paid for it. It wasn't so much about being a professional basketball player. It was, I have no options. There's nothing to fall back on. If you don't make
Mhm.
this work, you're done. You're gonna have a
Mhm.
miserable life in your 20s.
Mhm.
So that was the mindset. That was the mindset. So
And
I found,
everything.
by the grace of God,
Yeah.
I was able to figure it out. My body was able to
Everything.
figure
Everything fell into place.
everything fell into place. So a lot of people give me so much. Can I cuss here?
Yeah. Sure.
A lot of people shit, especially my teammates, my former teammates. Man, you don't have a right hand, but I actually do have if you go back, every shot that I took with my right hand in my career, I made. I
Mm.
never missed any of my right hand hooks. I just
Mhm.
couldn't do it because my left knee wasn't up to the task. So and from a standpoint, I was hiding it.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of some of the secrets that I had that I didn't reveal to too many people.
All right. Well, you went through all of that, all of those stages, and even before you got into the PBA. But
Yeah.
you kind of gotten through that already, that phase. But what was the PBA experience like? How was it? What was the biggest difference from basketball in the US and in here? Like, everything. Just tell us about it.
Well, for me, it was much more physical, surprisingly. Um, Physical and sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
Sneaky.
Yep.
So that was an adjustment. But then you start realize like the first glimpse I had of like actually in a PBA practice was was when I was we had this three on one, 3-on-2, 2-on-1 drill. And Rahel Meneses was
Mm-hmm.
somehow I got isolated on him. And I just
Mm-hmm.
remember a couple of years earlier in the PBL, because I played in the PBL.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember watching him against San Miguel. And I also got a chance to see Nelson Asaitono at a young Nelson Asaitono at San Miguel.
Mm-hmm.
And a younger Benji Paras, Victor Pablo, all those guys. And I just remember having a competitive drive. I saw them and I was like, man, these guys look like they could play. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I wanted to go get them. I wanted to compete against them. I wanted to see. But when I got isolated on Rahel, I was like, that's why they call him the aerial voyage. It's like, damn, man, this guy. I'll tell you what, Rahel was probably one of the more, I'd say probably the most talented player I've ever played with or against, skill set wise. I think that if he was in his youth today, he could definitely play in today's game because he was doing a lot of stuff that the kids are doing today. He was doing side step. He was shooting off. He was shooting off the awkward. He was shooting off the same leg with the same head. He was doing stuff like that. He was doing the crossovers already. I mean, the guy could do so many different things out there. I seen him do some stuff. Damn, I definitely can't do that. And I don't think I've seen too many players stateside do something like that.
Uh-huh.
So it was very impressive, but I just felt that very competitive, skill wise, very, very solid. Like my first game was against Daniel Defonso in San Miguel.
Ooh.
And I in my mind thinking, oh, I'm going to take Danny.
Uh-huh. Yep. Uh-huh.
Paint inside the paint was no problem, right?
Yep.
But then adjusted, and this was part of the pro game I didn't understand. He adjusted and he started isolating me on the wing, baseline side, or at the top of the key. And he had the skill set of being able to take me off the dribble. So that's when I also realized I need to learn how to play defense from the perimeter. I need to learn how to guard people outside in the pro game. Otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble. So there was a lot of great experiences, but there was also a lot of adjustments I had to make in my game.
We talked to Jared Dillinger the last couple of episodes ago, and he said probably the biggest difference from USA basketball and Philippine basketball would be how, like, in the US, people keep talking, right? Like trash talk and all of this. But like in the Philippines, they don't talk, but they make you feel what Philippine basketball is like.
Yeah.
Like they don't talk, but passive aggressiveness. That's what he said. So I don't know, man. How do you feel about that?
Well, I never talk trash, so I never really but where I got a lot of that PBL. This is 1996, so I think they didn't have that cutoff yet, like age thing. Like I think when we got into like the mid 2000s, there was a age cutoff. Like 27 was the highest age, like that was the oldest that you could be, or something like that. But in the PBL, you had guys that were retired from the PBA that were playing in the PBL, and these guys are from the 80s. So I experienced that off the bat. So I had players punching me in my balls, taking shots. I'm in the post. I go up to shoot. You get one of these. He's in the block. You get the defenders here, and then when I make a move to the middle of the lane, boom. With the left left bicep or whatever, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I experienced that early on, and I just remember my teammates being very supportive of me, saying, "If they do that, don't react." That was all I kept. Don't react. So I just didn't react. I just kept playing. Yeah. And after a while, other teams realized that type of tactic doesn't really affect me. So, but I was never really a trash talker.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
Okay,
like
so you mentioned you played, yeah. So you
Okay.
mentioned that you played in the PBL, before entering the
Yeah.
PBA. So
Yeah.
now let's go back to the PBA. And any welcome to the PBA moment? Like this moment, this is when you realized, oh no, this is a different league. Like, do you have any experience that with? Do you have experience personally?
Daniel
Yeah.
Fine.
Yep.
He didn't do anything physical. He was kicking my ass, And I had, my girlfriend at the time was sitting in the bleacher. I was sitting she was in the seats. Really, she had never seen me play before. So, I had my family there. So I'm like, man, this guy's embarrassing me, Um, but it was a lesson learned. After the game, I went up to Danny, and of course San Miguel won. I just went up to Danny and I just whispered in his ear. I said, "Man, you're going to be a great player." I remember saying that to him. The other moment was Nelson Asaitono. Yeah, again, this Nelson that's like 30 years old, 30, right? So with all the swag, that was like probably the first Filipino basketball player that I ever had seen with that type of swag. He'll let you know that he just embarrassed. I remember when I didn't want to guard him because he was going to do something, right? And he's another guy, in my opinion, that could play in today's game, because he was a guy. Again, he could put the ball on the floor. He can he has the 3-point capability. I think we all know that. He had the athletic ability, and he was just deadly in the post. So,
Yeah. Well, aside from the PBA, of course, you had a lot of PBA welcome moments. But aside from that, of course, you've been also part of very memorable, legendary championship teams. So, can you name us a few of your for your preferences, like the best teammates you've had, and why?
well, the only two teams I ever won championships was with Talking Tex in Alaska. And I'd say that I can't really say that one is better than the other. Actually, I can. You know what? Talking Tex was the best.
Yep.
Especially for that long stretch of, I don't know how, from 2009 up until 2013. I don't know. Yeah, that was the best basketball I'd ever been a part of in my entire career, going back to high school, because it was just such a tight-knit group. Everybody was on the same page. Everybody wanted to sacrifice for one another. When you say brotherhood, that was a true brotherhood. And it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable to be able to be a part of that experience at that stage of my career. Because I believe most players at that stage of their career, they'll never get a chance to experience anything like that. So I was very, very gracious and just thankful. But I put the work in. The work in because there was a time like we win a championship in 2008, 2009 with Talking Tex, and then a year later I get traded to Santa Lucia, and I'm in Santa Lucia for 3 months. And I don't know if you remember, Santa Lucia was on the verge of disbanding, and they were going to turn it into Moralco. And the truth is, I wanted no part of that. But then the other truth was, I watched myself play in film, And I realized how out of shape I had gotten, how old I had gotten. I was 35 at the time. And I remember something happened between Talking Text and Santa Lucia to where they had a disagreement of who was going to pay me my last month of my contract, because my contract was expiring.
Mm-hmm.
So I played 1 month without pay. But for me, I was just thinking to myself, like, well, dude, you got to look at yourself in the mirror, because your game is dropped.
Yep.
How are you yourself into the shape that you need to be in, and how are you going to bounce back from all of this?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow I was able to do that, and somehow I was able to get the attention of Talking Text because they traded back for me. So yeah, it was an incredible ride, and it was really a sigh of relief. But this time around, I wasn't going to mess this opportunity up. I was really going to, I was ready. I was ready
Yep.
when they came back, and we were able to do some special things over there. So to answer your question, Talking Text was probably, actually it was, that was the best squad I'd ever played for and with ever in my life.
By the way, I'm a TNT fan as well. Not
Oh,
really
thank
the
you.
biggest PBA fan, but ever since TNT is my favorite PBA team. And I was gonna ask you, we were gonna
Sure.
ask you, like, the people you like going against, but it really seems you really love going against Danny I and Nelson Asaitono. So, well, let's look at the current roster. Well, not really just the TNT, but if you look at the current state of the PBA and the players there, which particular player do you think would you like going against?
It's a good question. Wow. So I'm just trying to think of some of the. That's a
Honestly, a lot
lot.
of talented players right now.
Well, you know what? I would have liked to. I would have liked to go up against Christian Hardinger.
Mm-hmm.
That'd have been really, like, um, I don't know who would have come out on top. I'm, we're referencing to when I was young, right? So,
You can pick
Prime Ali Peak.
man,
your own version.
yeah, 38, 39 version of me. It was time. It was just time to go. It's no, but no, yeah, like Christian Hardinger, I always wondered how I would match up when I was covering games for TV5. I would sometimes try to figure out how I would beat someone like Christian while I was covering, while I was doing play-by-play. So Christian was one of them for sure. So I've already played with and against Japet and Jumar Fajardo. I would have been interested to see how I would have paired up against Jumar again when I was 25, 26 years of age. So, and I'm just trying to think of some of the other guys that are in the league. I know there's so many of them. But those Christian Hardinger is at the top of my list.
I think Prime Ali Peak can match up really well with Christian Hardinger.
You know what he reminds me of a lot? He reminds me of a taller version of Rudy Hatfield because of his muscle. He doesn't stop. He just does not stop.
Yeah.
And I mean, they both aren't the best looking players, like, style wise, but they just meant, like, at the end of the night, they'll have 22 rebounds. They'll have 24.
Get the job done.
They'll have 5-6 assists, and they just they get the job done. Their teammates follow them, So yeah.
Sure.
He has an unorthodox style of play, but I don't know why. It's actually good.
It's working.
It works. And
Yeah.
he's got really strong because I remember him going up against Junmar. I think this was like the last few months I was there. And he was kicking Junmar's ass, man. I'd never seen anyone take advantage of Junmar that way before. And I know that together. I know that they used to be teammates, but that was the first time I'd ever seen that. And I'm just thinking, my God, That's why I say, like, I don't know how I'd match up against him. I would love to be able to match up against someone like him in my prime, but I don't know what the outcome's going to be.
I feel like the combination of how unorthodox it is. He plays like it's already hard to guard someone like that, and you add the motor that he has. It's just completely different, man.
Really smart player. He
Yeah,
knows
that
where to
too.
put himself. He knows how to. Some players just have a knack of where the ball is going to drop, and that can't be
Mm-hmm.
coached. And he's
Yep.
one of those tangible guys, sort of like Arwin Santos, being able to block shots
Mm-hmm.
and do all these other things that just have a huge impact on his team.
Yep, for sure. But I mean, you've noticed how players played now. I believe that your IQ is very high when it comes to basketball. You've been through a lot all through these years. But can you tell us, in your time playing here in the Philippines, what would be the biggest lesson that you've learned?
The biggest lesson, that there's a few of them, but the biggest one, the one is you just never stop learning. You never stop learning. A big. I'll go back to that time when I didn't think anybody was going to resign me.
Mm-hmm.
35. Again, just I had a lot of personal problems going on off the court.
Yep.
I had to put my dog down. I caught my girlfriend at the time cheating on me. It's just a lot of serious stuff off the court. And then just my game just wasn't where it needed to be. But the thing was, instead of just kind of having that victim mentality, it was like, the hardest part for me was looking yourself in the mirror and saying, okay, what do you have to do? You have to be completely honest with yourself, right?
Yeah.
So never stop learning. So that was a lesson in itself. And then never you guys know, you've seen a lot of crazy things happen in the PBA. One of the hardest things for me was trying not to look ahead or trying not to look back in the course of one game. And
Yep.
learning how to do that really helped me focus in really tough times, especially deep into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of having that even keel. And what I'm trying to say is that just one moment or one thing that you don't do, whether it's a box out, you miss a box out, or the coach tells you not to help out, but you do anyways, that could change the entire complexion of that game, right? And it's devastating and it's unforgiving. And I've been, my teammates and I have been on the receiving end of that, and it's not a good feeling at all,
Yep.
So those are some of the intricate parts of the game that I don't think too many people, especially fans, realize. You just make one error in the first quarter, that can set the tone for you and your teammates the rest of the three quarters. And it's just, then you find yourself trying to climb this impossible mountain, So, those are some of the valuable lessons that I learned. So every moment counted, every possession counted, every detail defensively the coach needed you to exercise counted, and that was just the mindset. And that again, that's why I think our talking text teams were so the having a loss of words here, but was so special because we all understood that. We understood the importance of those details.
Yep. Well, we're about to end the podcast, but before we do, we have like a few more questions, and one of those would be, given that you've faced a lot of players already, you've been teammates with a lot of great players too. We want to ask you for your top 5 all-time team with you included in it by position.
Oh man, in my
You love
era,
the top
or
five.
Yeah, in your era. So
In my era, so we're talking. What do we? This is pre Jumar Fajardo because
yeah,
if
yeah, yeah. Pre-Junior.
You can also make your own all-time list if you want. So you can do two top
But
fives.
okay, so I'm gonna go with Danny I.
but
I'm
you
go.
have to be in. But you have to be in the team too.
Yeah, I'll be
So
the
basically,
five.
there's four.
Danny I will be the four.
Okay.
Man, oh, this is tough. Jimmy Alapag is gonna be my one.
Okay.
That's all.
Um, man, who's you know what? I'm sorry. These three guys are going to be my teammates. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
It's
And
your top
so,
five.
all right. So, man, I know I'm missing so many people out here, but you know what? I'm gonna go with two. I can't deny Jason Castro, man. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yep.
and
You
then
can.
the three uh toss up between God.
You can have a 6-man too if you can't
I got
decide between two people.
so many guys. I'm just trying to go over my head right now. I'll go with the Rudy Hatfield. You know, I've always
Yeah.
wanted to play with Rudy. How many is that? Is that everybody? We're missing. Yeah,
A
so
six
that's
man. A
five.
6-man.
6 man. I'm gonna go with Renadale Del Campo. That's my 6 man.
There.
I mean,
Oh,
it's hard. You know, it's hard because I'm trying to go back. There's so many guys, and I'm missing. I know I'm missing so many guys.
Kind of like that list.
You
it's
like that?
tough.
I'm
Yeah,
a big Jimmy Alapag and Jason Castro fan.
yeah. You
Especially those two guys.
man, they're just trying to go over my mind because look, man, we're talking '90s all the way up until the mid 2010s. So yeah, I'll be missing. I mean, well, I can because it's Johnny Abrientos, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
Bo
Mhm.
Hawkins. I mean, come on. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So, um, yeah,
That lineup's still solid though.
It was
I
yeah,
gotta say, fair.
it's a preference. It's your own top five.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's
I just
good.
body off. I mean, so,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
basically, to kind of end this, podcast. So probably one more question, and that would be, any message to the viewers, our viewers, and of course to all aspiring players, and as well as, to players who have stopped playing basketball, but are trying to play basketball again, because me personally, I kind of like stop playing basketball, but I kind of want to play again. So, you have any advice for those guys?
guys that want to play again, or
Yeah,
just all. That
all
was
of
a lot
them.
play again,
So
and we still have
play again, aspiring basketball players, just and
and the
viewers.
viewers, of course.
of players. I would say, you got to do things to stand out. You know,
Yep.
Me as an example, I'll use myself as an example because I can't speak for anybody else. How did I fit in? How was I going to be successful? Was my work ethic brief? Running the floor, committing to defense, learning how to play defense. Became a shot blocker early on. I was undersized, but I became a shot blocker for whatever reason, and that was valuable for the players on your squad. So I would say, for any aspiring player, do 2 or 3 things that'll help you stand out from the rest of the competition. And
Mhm.
for guards, it could be, for big. I'll start off with the bigs. For bigs, going that extra distance, you know, doing things that your guards and your wings are going to appreciate. You know, letting them, like for example, just trying to get as many rebounds as possible and finding them on outlets, or just letting them know that you sort of have their back, right? calling out picks. There's so many different things that you could do, but I'll go to the guards, because why do I do that? So many people out here that are Philams will ask me, because they want to play in the Philippines, and I tell them, everybody can score once you get to the professional levels, but even a collegiate level, that's why you're there, because obviously your stats turned heads. But can you get straight? Can you be an extension of your coach? Can you control the pace and flow of a game? When things are getting out of control, can you draw your players back and get them reorganized? Right? Can you set your teammates up? And this goes for the bigs too. Can you set your teammates up? Can you find your teammates? Are you reading? Are you reading the entire floor? Right? Sorry, guys. I mean, it's early in the morning here, so my mind is not quite clicking.
It's all good.
All these little things.
Yep.
Always the little things, guys. I think you guys agree with me on that. It's
Yep.
always the things that really gets the attentions of your teammates and your coaches, and saying, this guy's willing to go the distance. I think Michael Jordan, when Scottie Pippen first arrived to the Bulls, Michael Jordan right off the bat said, this guy's special. Why did he say he was special? Because he committed to defense. Why was Dennis Rodman special? Because I don't have to say anything. Like, the guy was sacrifice his body and guard whoever he needed to guard. He guarded players 1 through 5. And he was always the one coming out on top, getting rebounds, running the floor. As a big, run the floor, because your guards appreciate that. Calling out picks and letting your guards know exactly where you're at all times, where they need to be. That was one of the things that I would do with Jimmy and Jason. When they went to go help out, I was in the back end, and I'll just say, Jason, corner, left corner. Let him know where he needs to go.
Yep.
Right. So all of those things that I just mentioned, if you could commit yourself to doing a lot of those things, actually all of those things, if not all, a lot of them, most of them, that really gets your teammates to say, you know what, I appreciate this guy, because he's not just looking out for himself, he's also looking out for me. And then for guys, I mean, just the fans out there, I mean, just keep, it sounds so cliche, just keep supporting the PBA. Be patient with the PBA as well too, because I really hope that the PBA listens to its fans more. I'm just speaking frank here, and I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
There's some sort of concern where I think, first of all, it's great on one hand that you have so many players, young players, exploring other options and better situations financially to be able to support their families back home. Right. That's what I'm talking about. You think about it, the PBA's lost an entire generation of young athletes that should have been there to carry the league for the next 20 years, but they're not. Yeah, that's something to really look at. Say, what's going on here? How come they don't want to play in the league? Right? It's not just, I mean, that's a big part of it, but it's not just that, right? Are they doing that now? I don't know. I hope they are. I've always been one to want to see the PBA just keep expanding and flourishing. So I can't tell you how many people out here know about the PBA, and social media is a big part of it. And I got friends who are non-Filipinos coming up to me and saying, "Hey man, I saw some of those clips. These guys can really play." That makes me feel. That makes me really feel good, because, I guess I would like to believe that I was part of that evolution process over the last 20 plus years.
For sure.
And then for the guys that are trying to play basketball again, talk to your doctors. Hurt yourself, I don't know. I'm just kidding. But no, it's great. I mean, I wish I can. I just have too many injuries, guys. I have 4 titanium screws in my lower back. I had a spinal fusion that caused me to retire. That's just from all the wrestling in the paint with guys taller than I am, but Do I get out and play? Yeah, I play with my son. You know, my 17-year-old daughter. I was teaching her how to shoot a few weeks back, and she has a really nice form. You know, so
Potential. The potential is there, probably.
yeah, possibly, but that's as far as it's going to go. As far as me getting back on the basketball court, you know, I'm good. I'm fine. Yeah.
I mean, you did everything that you could already, and from our perspective of things, you were really a great basketball player, and we thank you for. I mean, I don't know the term, but thank you for the services and the love that you gave to the Philippines, the Philippine
Thank you very
basketball community.
much. I appreciate it, guys, and thank you for being patient with me. You know,
Appreciate it.
Of course.
I was thinking to myself, man, I can't do this. You know, I can't for whatever reason, guys, my 5-year-old, my 2-year-old just decided to wake up really early. And so just having a hard time. And then my wife woke up, she said, go to the car and do it, you know? So yeah, but I really do. Thank you. Thanks for giving me thank you.
We really appreciate your time too, you know. I mean, we know you're a pretty busy person compared to us, but hey, thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, guys.
But we also hope, you know, for the best for your family, of course.
Yeah,
no, thank
in
you.
the future.
Yeah, guys.
And
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh yeah, well, I mean, that's for us. And do you wanna say anything else?
That's about it. I can't thank you enough for this opportunity, and you know, it's always great talking hoops, and of course I want to give you guys you know, as much support as possible because I know you guys are starting this out, right? So you know, all the best and all the luck. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's really, really awesome.
Thank you for the support. And yeah, I guess that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and stay safe out there. You know, God bless. Thank you again to everyone who's supporting and that's watching this podcast. And we'll see you next time. It's been fun. I'm Matt.
And I'm Laij.
And Intangibles Podcast. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.
Isn't clear, we rack 'em up, make 'em real intangibles.